Welcome to Sunday Night MTG live on location at Magic Fest Memphis. We are continuing our series of interviews here in Memphis. Today we are with Eric Deschamps, longtime artist of Magic the Gathering and some of probably your favorite cards that you play in your deck. So welcome to Sunday Night MTG.
Thanks, appreciate it.
So I know personally I've had a lot of your cards. You're talking about Gideon, Liliana, a slew of Planeswalkers. And we talked a little bit about the artist process going into Planes, obviously Planeswalkers. Tell us a little bit about how Wizards will work with artists to get you to come up with some of the artwork for these sets.
Well, sometimes players will ask me, if I just come up with an idea and then submit it to Wizards, and it's not really how it works. They have an idea of what they're looking for. They have a card, and then they kind of brainstorm what they want to see art-wise in that card, and then they'll write up a description that's maybe 3 or 4 sentences long, and they'll send that to an artist that they specifically think would work well for that image. And then from there, I know that it's a sorcery card, it's a red card. I don't know what the card does. And then so my job is to take their description and bring it to life. So I'll submit a sketch, and then they'll say, oh yeah, this is good, but we can't have this in the sketch because of this other card. So can you change it? And then so I'll revise the sketch, send it back in, and they'll say, yeah, this is good, go ahead and paint it. And then that's how it goes.
So that's the the artist proof process. So you would kind of go back and forth before you put it into color.
Yeah. You work with an art director, and you go back and forth, and they would tell you what they need so that it works with the game, and also maybe make it better art-wise as well.
Sure.
So, yeah.
And so they'll show you some examples of, for example, previous Gideon iterations.
Oh yeah, sure. So if say you're doing Gideon, and they'll give you a couple examples of art that they think works, that's been done previously with Gideon. And sometimes there's new concept art. Sometimes his costume changes in a different plane. So you'll get updated on that as well. So.
Yeah, those are fans of Jace will see. Jace Cunning Castaway is totally different than other Jaces. So that particular concept would have been Jace is a pirate.
Sure, some of the guys, some of the Planeswalkers, they wear say an outfit that doesn't work on Innistrad because it's really cold in Innistrad, so they have to update it.
Yeah. So one of the more popular things that Wizards is doing, especially with San Diego Comic-Con, is the Planeswalker set, and you were blessed to be able to do the zombie collection. Tell us a little bit about how that came about.
Well, that was a lot of fun. I had never drawn zombies before, believe it or not. So that was kind of crazy. I had been a fantasy illustrator for a long time, and for some reason I'd never gotten to the zombies. So it was a challenge for me. It was a lot of fun. Be careful if you ever had to do a zombie illustration. Looking up reference for it could be pretty disgusting. I kind of didn't think of that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it was a lot of fun, and it was just a really cool project. I can't take credit. Wizards had a lot of awesome ideas for this. They came up with the idea of Jace eating his own brain and Gideon, strangling himself with his own weapon. So I just had to bring it to life. So, but it was a ton of fun. So I kind of worked on each one individually, but I'd have them up on the screen together every once in a while to kind of make sure they all felt similar, because they kind of needed to have a similar background and all that. Yeah. But so actually the first round that I did when I illustrated them, I kind of overacted them all, and I had them all really lumbering zombie poses, and it was just a little too much, and the art director said, you can probably dial that back a little bit. So it came out a lot better.
Well, it's nice to see that too. With Liliana is the one that's kind of unscathed. Obviously, she's kind of the queen of the
she's
zombies.
The ringleader here. Yeah.
And to some of these really iconic planeswalkers like Chandra and Gideon and Jace, Nissa having totally different looks that you might not even have imagined them even being a zombie. Thinking about Jace, who's usually the top thinker, is eating his own brain, which is amazing. So let's talk a little bit about just your art in general. So when did you start making Magic cards, and then what were you doing from your art career before that?
Well, Magic the Gathering is my first professional job as an illustrator, actually.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So I had met one of the art directors at San Diego Comic-Con at a portfolio review. I had already made contact with him previously, like through email, and that's how I got my first job. Was let's just say like 14 years ago.
Oh, great.
And so Unhinged was my first set that I worked on, which was a good starter.
Yeah.
Because, it's kind of humorous, a little fun, so, a little less stressful, to start out with. So the first one I did was like a few goblins with huge fly swatters. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, the unsets are a lot of fun. Those that are more into competitive Magic, or even those that are casual, it's a nice change of pace set.
Yeah.
One of the things that's great about that is the lands that they provide, which are just like some of the most used lands in competitive, the full art lands.
Yeah.
So you've been able to do a lot of different planeswalkers. You've done Ajani, Gideon, Tamio, Vinzer, Rawl, just to name a few. We were talking a little bit about, artists get these assignments, and you may just do it as a job, but there has to be some favoritism here and there from some of the art pieces that you put out. So what are some of your favorite pieces?
Yeah, I think it happens, like for me it ended up being, I think my favorite is probably Venzer, just because he was my first really big card. And aside from that, it was a difficult card to illustrate because it was on Mirrodin, and it's just loaded with reflective metal, which is just so hard to paint.
Yeah.
So like that was the entire scene, so it took me forever. And so, I learned a lot with that one, so it means a lot to me. And I also really like one of the recent ones I did, the Ajani, using the Planeswalker deck. I forget what the actual name of it is. So that's one of my more favorite ones as well.
Great. Do you play Magic?
I know how to play. I appreciate the game. I don't have the time as an artist to play the game because I think it's a game that you really have to put time into.
Definitely.
So, there's a lot of memorization, and so if I'm going to play the game, I'm going to do it right.
Right.
So
talking about time, this is always a question I've been wanting to ask, and I talk to artists in my day job a lot, and talking about the process of the concept and putting it into the work. What would you say, and this might be a tough question, what is like the average time that you would put into a piece?
Well, I can say, say like the shortest time would be maybe like 4 days or so.
Okay.
And, that's including sketches and all that. And then it can go out to like over 2 weeks. There was one card that was actually started out as something that was more like advertising for the set. And like what they call it key art. And for, it was Dragon's Maze. And I had Raul Zarek over the city. And they really liked it. And they really liked the background, so she's like, would you mind painting out Raul Zarek? And so we can use it as a land. So I did that. That whole thing took me like over a month. So it was a really long piece, but it was worth it.
Yeah, and the creative process is a very difficult thing to define because, as you said, there might be something that, pops off in a few days that, came really easy. There might not have been, you might have just nailed it the first time, and some other things, elements that they start to add in or ask some questions or edits or whatnot.
Yeah, some things are more complicated than others. One may just be a character right up in your face. So like the background is really, it's not much. So those ones usually don't take as long, But when it's something with a sprawling landscape or there's a battle scene behind it, that's going to take a while. So,
oh yeah. As we were kind of closing up, where can artists find your work, and then where are you going to be in other events the rest of the year?
Well, it's I have a website that's ericdeschamps.com, so simple enough. I'll be in Tampa next.
Okay.
And I'll also go to London and a few other Magic Fests as well. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you're getting to go to London.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I haven't been there yet, so I'm really excited for that.
For everybody listening, if you want to donate to Sunday Night MTG, there'd be a great opportunity for us to get to London, England, and follow Eric and his work in London.
Sure, there'll be plenty of other artists for you to interview.
Yeah. Well, it's been a lot of fun. I know I'm a personal fan. I know there's so many people that I know playing the game that have your cards in their deck that love getting them signed. So we really appreciate your time, and I know we're about to get started here at the GP Day 2. So thank you again, Eric, for being on Sunday Night MTG.
Great, thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you again soon.
Skr, skr.